Thank you to Bespoke Post for sponsoring this video.
Welcome back, friends. Let's take a look at what we're going to be working on today. In the last video, we did the handrails. We're going to continue working here on the porch, addressing the ceiling. If you remember, this used to have a flat ceiling starting just above the door at the siding, and then it was paneled in something like wainscoting. So I removed that to make some repairs in the framing, but now I'm going to stick with the vaulted ceiling. So we need to cover the framing somehow and then do some sort of siding right here. I believe what I'm going to do is wire in for a ceiling fan and then a light right here. So just a normal light here and then a ceiling fan without a light here. I think with a vaulted ceiling, that gives me room for the fan. That's nice for, you know, some cooling and to keep the mosquitoes off you. And then just your normal traditional light here. So this is going to involve wiring, some framing potentially, sheathing this ceiling, some siding, and whatever else happens. So let's get started. The wire is run. I'll do the one for the light later. We're going to go ahead and start in this corner putting up the luan ceiling. I think I'm liking the way this is looking. I'm using my imagination now, but I think it's going to look pretty good. So you can imagine the whole thing being done, and then a strip of wood covering up the seams between each one. It'll sort of give it that paneled, or not board and batten, just paneled with trim over each seam. And then you caulk everything out, get it painted some nice, pleasant color. It's going to look pretty clean. I think what I'm going to do, because it's well on its way of getting dark today, I'm going to go ahead and throw the opposite two pieces on there, and then I'll be back with you once I get that done. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I'm pleased with the way it turned out. So let's take a quick look, and then we'll pick up from here tomorrow. So there it all is. Let me do some views from down the ground where you can see it better. So all vaulted. Got our new door, our handrail. That's a good view right there. The first piece I ripped went right there against the header to get the wall out the same as the siding right here. Then I applied another strip all the way across just to shim out over top the lap siding there. And then those pieces up there are nailers for getting everything nice and plumb.
Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands for every part of life, from home and bar to outdoor gear, style picks, and more. Bespoke believes that high-quality goods don't have to carry a high price tag. Each box is packed with at least $70 worth of gear, but costs members only $45. The lineup of limited-run boxes is constantly changing. It's like giving yourself a gift every month, plus you'll always get to preview or swap your box, so you'll love what you get. Bespoke scours the globe to find the coolest selection of goods and gear and partner with under-the-radar brands that you won't find everywhere else. Want to skip a month, return, or exchange a box? Pause your subscription? Cancel altogether? No sweat. It's free to join, and with no commitments, it's hassle-free.
This is what I was hoping they'd send me. I didn't want to specify what it was that I wanted. I just wanted to be surprised, and this is a good surprise. Fairly high-ride sheath gets it up out of the way for when you sit down. This isn't tip of the sheath isn't going to jam against a car seat, for example. Get in and out. Similar size to a pocket knife unfolded. This is really neat. And this is the Forge package. These are wireless earphones, as in earbuds, just going in your ears. This is awesome because y'all know the type of work that I'm doing. I'm not snagging a wire going to my phone in my pocket, pulling my phone out of my pocket, jerking the earphones out of my ears. This is really neat. These will be very handy. It says 7 hours of playtime. Let's take a look. Watch me break them. Very neat. That's a slim little case. I really like these style of earbuds too, the ones that have the little plugs versus like the hard plastic type. If you'd like to check out one of these cool boxes, head to the link in my description and use the code HOME20 to receive 20% off your first box.
Once you click the link, you'll scroll to the bottom of the Bespoke homepage where you'll be prompted to take a short quiz. This will allow Bespoke to tailor boxes specifically to your interests.
If you have a fella in your life that's due a present coming soon, but you don't know exactly what to get them, I think Bespoke Post is a good solution. It has the advantage of they get to pick exactly what they want, but you show that you care and that you know the types of stuff that they want, and then they also get something in the mail, which is always fun. So check them out, see what you think, and they might be a good solution for a gift or for yourself. After that last clip, a couple things got complicated, so I was working on them off camera, and then it got dark, and I just kept on working without filming. And it was extremely cold, so I was in a hurry. And so I got some stuff done. I'm just going to show you the results of them, and then we'll kind of pick up from there in the next video. This is also probably the last video before the end of the year, so Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. I really do mean that. I hope this year hasn't been too pesky for the majority of you, at least. I know that it definitely has been for many. I think this has been a very tricky year in many ways. At the beginning of the year, or I'd say like last year this time, I'm not one to do New Year's resolutions, but I had a lot of goals for the year in general, business-wise, personal-wise, family-wise, all that type of thing. And I just really was like, I am going to really make sure that this is my best year, that I have the most amount of fun, all the stuff. I just wanted to kind of like let a lot of personal goals come to existence and really enjoy them. And then, boy, was it different than I think I and what everyone else was expecting. And I'll even say it was as shallow as just the idea that it was 2020, that, you know, the year. I just thought it sounds cool and everything. I was like, I would really make a lot of effort. And I put together this whole list of what I wanted to do, dates I wanted to achieve these things by, and, you know, even as difficult as it was, I really was able to end up doing most of it, but it was an absolute uphill battle, jumping over hurdles the whole time. But for the most part, I was able to do these things that I wanted. So I am extremely grateful for that, but it was not a fun task. And things did not go smooth. I've already said it to some people that this is, while things have worked out, every single thing has been an absolute grind. It's kind of like when you're driving and every single light turns red right as you're coming up to it, versus other times when it's just like they just turn green. This was a red light kind of a year, kind of personally, and then just for everyone. And then that combined with just losing some different people, that I think that's been difficult as just a a reminder of certain things. It's just been a very tricky year, but I have been extremely fortunate at the same time, no matter what my attitude was or mood was at times, to not have anything, personally really happen too bad. And just to be able to, regardless of that, is just to be able to kind of move forward on stuff. I am very grateful for that, even if it wasn't pleasant. And I've heard somebody say before, I think this is funny, when everybody's always worried about having a good time and everything working out great for them and everything being equal for everybody and all that kind of stuff, you look back on human history and most of the story is of great struggle. It's really not until recently that we've kind of made everything so nice and easy that, you can have the luxury of having fun and being happy. But in a weird way, it's almost kind of, I think, twisted people to where they think that because all these things exist to make you happy, that you automatically kind of should have those things. And then, even worse, if you don't have them, that you are specifically unhappy. And that, I think, is a dangerous thing. So while this year has been very tricky for many, I almost think it was, I don't want to say a necessary evil, but it is something that I think can be used to learn from. With that said, I mean, there's a lot of people that have had really nothing negative occur or no downside to all this. For example, me with my YouTube channel, you got a lot of people sitting at home doing stuff online, so my YouTube stuff is, done very well as a result of that. And as far as selling tables and stuff, I haven't really experienced any kind of people spending less money. And then I've spoken with some different people that sell stuff like heavy equipment, real estate, all that kind of stuff. All that's gone up. So it's kind of weird. It's at this time where supposedly people are losing everything. People are spending money to have a good time as well, and taking advantage of a lot of opportunity that does still exist, obviously. So watch what you hear and how you run with it. And that's no comment on anything in specific. But that's off topic. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I did and talk about what's kind of coming up next. So looking up into the ceiling, I'll say right off the bat, I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for good. And I am pleased. So we've got the 1/4-inch luan, and then that was 3/8 inch sheathing. So I picked out the best pieces I could. It's not really I'd say a paint grade wood, obviously. It's meant to go up and house wrap and then whatever kind of siding attached to it, but I just picked some nice pieces because lumber's so expensive right now. This is about $18. It's normally $13. And that might not sound like a difference, $5 difference, but this was, and this is just one sheet cut up. But imagine building a whole house, and that's just one small part of it. These are just 1x2s, pine 1x2s, so they are all over the seams and the joints in the 1/4-inch material. Same for the plywood. And then I went back and added them to the joists as well, just to give it a paneled look, to where it's not like I'm only doing it to cover up joints. It's to give it that paneled look. And then you've got areas like this where I could have, brought the one down off that one and down off that one, but then I've got that loose seam. So I just kind of just went with what was easy, and that just looked generally good. And then, when you're dealing with stuff like this, things aren't perfectly square. Some of my little gaps between this and this weren't right, and that's why this piece is flipped that way, and those are faces are against the vertical piece right there. But it's small stuff that once all this is painted, and I'll probably paint all this white up in here. I'm not sure exactly yet, but paint in general, caulk and paint, is just going to smooth all this up, and you're not going to see the difference between the color, difference of the plywood, the luan, and these strips. So all this becomes much more subtle. And then you're going to have features like the fan there, and then the trim work, around the tops of these columns. So everything becomes more subtle, and then nicer features will distract from lesser features, I guess is the way to say it. So in the next video, I'll be addressing a lot of this small stuff and kind of trimming out the bottom of this board and doing whatever I need to do. Hopefully, if the weather's okay, I'll go ahead and caulk and paint it, and then you'll really start to see the look of this as well as the handrails. Addressing some of the comments, questions people ask, this green stuff is a wood preservative. Also, none of this wood that you see is actually touching the concrete, so it's raised up, so even if water got under it, it's not going to make contact with it, as well as if water did make contact with it somehow, it's able to dry out. So that's why I don't have that wood preservative all over the place on this. Also, since this is kind of an entryway, I mean, it is poisonous stuff, so I'm just kind of limiting it as much as I can. So it's on these columns down to bottom. Now I say poisonous, it's no more poisonous than, normal ground contact treated wood, which, you don't want to sit there and eat the sawdust or anything like that or chew on the wood, but it's not going to be the end of you. So that's why it's not smeared all over the handrails as well. I didn't want to use treated wood on the handrails because it's so wet, and as it dries it shrinks and cracks, and you'll just end up with everything will be just a little bit loose. People asked as well about when I was building the handrails, all the balusters. So you've got the little strip top and bottom, so I kind of make this section and then put it on top of this 2x4 and then lay that 2x4 on top. So I air nailed it together first, nail guns what I mean, with a 16 gauge nail, so that's kind of like a heavier finishing nail, and then I went back in with a screw. So the advantage of that is it's easy to assemble it with the air nailer, and then the screw is for strength, but those 2 extra nails that I fire into each side before the screw keeps them from twisting down the road if things get a little bit loose. So the screw holds it really tight, and then those nails act as 2 pins to keep them from rotating, and that's top and bottom, so you got 4 of those plus the screw itself, so they're not really going to go anywhere. Now, I mean, I'm not saying if you grabbed them and turned them really hard, you might not be able to see a little wiggle, but they're not going to be spinning in circles, like a barber's pole. As far as the porch goes, just is what it is. I didn't feel like rebuilding the whole thing, and I didn't feel like building something on top of it now, but the way this all is, I could easily do it later by undoing the handrails and columns, propping up the roof above, building it, cutting the columns down, remounting everything exactly how you see it now. So I can do that later if I choose to. The steps are going to be rebuilt. People keep asking about them being crooked, so they're getting rebuilt. Same thing goes for this door. It's crooked right now. This is going to get replaced. So the plan is that side porch is going to be a living space. So this door is going to be replaced with one similar to the front door in the house that you just saw me installed. New windows, insulation, wiring, drywall, whatever I sheathe the walls with, basically. So that is going to be a nice space as well. So that door is just kind of there temporarily, and it's just, I just haven't got around to doing that yet. That's coming up soon. Same thing goes for those steps. I'll probably build something over them, or at least put a handrail down them, something, but probably a landing and some small steps. The bushes are of a big topic. People think that the bushes look real bad right now, and they kind of do. But these bushes are really nice in the summertime. They just look like this in the wintertime. With that said, I may take them out for maintenance reasons. I think I already said that in this video. But if I do, I'm just going to move them. I'm not going to get rid of them. So there's bushes right there as well. I think that... No, one other thing. People keep... Not that many people, but a few people say that the door should swing that way. I just don't like the door swinging that way. And I mean, I understand some people are still going to stick with their reason, but I don't like the idea of if you were to leave your door open, that it would be blocking your steps. So in this case, this door can swing all the way open, and it's over top of a floor register anyway, so you really wouldn't have anything right behind the door here. And so when it's open, it just makes the whole place look nice and open. I think it would be crazy for it to swing against the steps. That doesn't make sense to me at all. And I don't know. It's just the way I think about it. It's the way it was, too. So, I mean, I think I automatically lean towards doing it that way. But to me, I think it also just makes sense for it to swing completely out of the way of this room and this room. Alrighty, ladies. That wraps up a whole entire year of video making, unless I lose my mind and try to slip in one more before the end of the year. So again, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, or whatever it is out there that everyone celebrates. I hope it goes well and is enjoyable. I won't try to overtalk it. I've already said some things earlier, but again, it's been tricky. I hope things improve, and for those of you who have had a nice time throughout these difficult times, I hope they continue to be positive. Try not to let this type of stuff get you down to the point to where you, I think, become less effective at enjoying yourself, or less effective at least in terms of getting the stuff done that you need to do. Sometimes when things get bad, one of those ways that I think of it is it's kind of like, okay, this thing is keeping most people from being able to do what they want to do, but I'm going to keep on going. And it's almost like bonus time. It's like with my the work that I do where I make an income from it. I have that option to go Saturday, Sunday if I need to. And I think of it as like, okay, these other people don't have this opportunity, so I'm not going to squander it. I have bonus time and I'm getting ahead. And not that it's a race, but just that sort of slight little competitive feeling, I think, is just almost like I'm competing with myself more than anything, but just keeps you moving ahead. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You know, people say just keep your nose to the grindstone. Not that you want to wear yourself out and that working and making money is everything, but sometimes you just have to stay focused on stuff, and that is what gets you through the tough time. And I think when things are tough also, you know, even if what you're trying to achieve takes you a little bit longer or is much more difficult, when you get it done in a time that it is tricky, it just seems that much more satisfying, or not even satisfying in a fun way. It's really abstract sometimes, I think. You know, a lot of people expect things to be happy, but, you know, come on, it's not going to work that way all the time. But you can still gain satisfaction by doing something that's unpleasant and nowhere near fun. And so that's a project like this is a lot like that. And, you know, it's winter now, but before you know it, it's going to be spring, and that's when a lot of people start projects like this. So whatever your situation is, if you're trying to make it better, I highly recommend getting into real estate, doing this type of stuff. A lot of times I just try to, you know, be fun, but I'm serious about it. You know, if you're really trying to make a change for your family or just for yourself, or for yourself now, but assuming you're going to have a family in the future, whatever the case, you know, just do it. Like I said, I've got my book and I've explained how to find places like this. I can't help it if you live in a really expensive place, but most average places you're able to find some super good deals. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to do all the stuff you see me doing. I didn't know how to do it. Unfortunately, I wasn't born knowing how to do all this type of stuff. I bought a junky house and just got started working on it, figured it out. And that was before I had anything that resembled a smartphone. So I was just able to call people and ask them questions. I'd ask people at Lowe's how to do something when I was there. Buying the materials. I didn't even know whether I was buying the right materials. I looked at these things. They're weird. It's a lot of people probably aren't very familiar with them, but they fold open like this, and they've got paper inside of them, and there's pictures and words on them, and you read them, and it tells you how to do different things. They come in all different types of forms, at least, but I have some. They must be really old, but they tell you really general home repair type stuff. So early on I looked at that type of stuff, and that was just when I was just excited about this type of stuff. So even if it wasn't the task I was supposed to be doing at that time, I'd still read them and just kind of like get general stuff. And then down the road, when I was confronted with a problem, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember reading that and that foldy thing, and this is roughly how to do it. So I at least knew the language a little bit, at least how to do it. So again, that's just in those early days. You very, very, very quickly will start to learn how to do things and become more comfortable with things. And then when you run into problems that you don't know how, it's not even really that big of a deal anymore to you. You're like, how hard can this be? And you just do it. And most things in a house that you're going to do, it's not that dangerous. Like if you get it a little bit wrong, something just won't work out. When it comes to doing the things like electric and stuff like that, you know, if you don't know, what I did is I found someone that I knew that it was an electrician, and then I hired them hourly. I think I paid him $15 an hour to come do electrical stuff, and we rewired a whole house. And with me helping him and taking care of a lot of the stuff that I did know how to do, like I knew there was going to need to be a lot of holes drilled, and I knew where I wanted all my electrical boxes. I knew that a wire had to be pulled between the electrical boxes. So I did a lot of that stuff just based on just reading on how to do it and seeing it. Because when you gut a house out to renovate it, a lot of times you are repairing or replacing something. It's not going to be really done all that much more different. It's just going to be updated. So a lot of times you just like, okay, I like where all the receptacles are. So you just pull the old boxes out of the wall, put the new ones up. You might adjust a little bit, run wires between them, and then that's, you know, taken care of. But the hooking into the electrical panel and different like code related stuff that's a little bit trickier, you know, he was doing that stuff, and I'm just staring over his shoulder asking him what he's doing the whole time. And I was paying him per hour. So if I slowed him down, it didn't matter. He didn't care because he was going to get paid more. So it was kind of a good balance of I was getting the work done, but then, you know, doing a little trade school at the same time. And then the next time I had to wire a house, I had that much more work done, but still had him come in to help me with a few things. And then on the third house, I was done, and I did it on my own. So from there, I've done all my electrical work, and then if I don't know how to do something, I just figure out the answer and I still do it on my own. Now, rules on all that will change depending on where you're at. And the same thing applies to plumbing stuff. I'm fortunate enough to where my father-in-law is a plumber, so I've always had him to call on plumbing stuff. Outside of that, framing, I just look up the rules of it, or I just try to overdo something to where I know I'm beyond what the code would do. And then if an inspector has an issue with something, I'm quickly able to change it. So got off on a little tangent there. But I'm just telling you, don't let yourself hold yourself back. It really is extremely important to not be, your own roadblock, or the saying, don't be your own worst enemy. So I'll end it there. Check out that first link in the description to Bespoke Post. They've got that code HOME20 down there just for you to save on your first box. Other than that, I've got the PayPal link for those that would like to do a financial contribution to the channel. Then I have the link to my ebook on, again, find places just like this, help you out get started. And you can always email me or send me a message here on Facebook, or comments, of course, and then email. And I try my best to at least get you going in the direction you need to, or try to alleviate any undue worries that you have. So a very big thank you to all of you for keeping on following me, and I'll see you next year. Thanks for watching.